Hello, friends and family, and welcome back to the sixth episode of Awkward Teenage Years. Today, we're gonna hear true stories about first kisses, first love, about first alcohol, and first drugs, about friendships and betrayal, and ultimately coming of age. So today we have the best lineup. Perfectissimo, okay? So now I want you to welcome Bryan Berlin, and he's host of and creator of the podcast Love Hers. And he's been hosting a virtual storytelling show on Sundays called The Chat Room. Please, so welcome magnificent Bryan Berlin.
Hello. Thank you for having me. My story, it starts basically growing up every summer. I would spend 2 weeks going to a summer camp up in New Hampshire. And those 2 weeks were always like my best 2 weeks of the entire year. Like I made all these friends, and every year, we'd wait to see those friends again, and we'd come back, and then eventually we would exchange like AIM screen names and keep in touch over the year. But being back for those 2 weeks was always like the best part of the year. And my last summer as a camper, I was 15 years old. It's our last night of the summer. There's a campfire going on, and there is this person next to me who is just like ugly crying. We're singing songs and we're all like have arms around each other, and it's this emotional thing. And she is just like a mess because the summer's over. It's our last summer as campers. And I don't know who this person is. And at one point she like apologizes to me for crying so much. And I kind of see she's wearing the sweatshirt with a hood, and I see under the hood, and she's super cute. And it's just kind of this nice moment that we have together where my first instinct is just to like make her laugh because she's just crying, and it's this, she's being very sweet. Her name is Jen, I find out. And so now I'm just like trying to make her laugh to cheer her up. And it's this mix of like crying and laughing. And the crying gets worse because she's laughing, and then it turns back to crying. But we share this really fun little kind of moment together at the last night of camp. And I had never met her before. And the next morning, we exchange AIM screen names and go on with our lives. And so that's our last summer as campers. But the next summer, when we turn 16, you could be a trainee at this camp. And Jen was really on the fence about being a trainee. That's kind of why she had like been crying so much, because she was like, oh, this is the end of this camp for me. But, we talked a few times over the year, and she decided she was going to come back as a trainee. And I was so excited because that meant that like maybe something could happen between us. Like I had this instant crush on her, and now I was going to get this opportunity to spend a summer with her and try to see if something can happen. Because instead of it just being 2 weeks of camp, we were there for an entire summer. And we get there, and I'm like immediately Jen and I, reconnect, and we keep in touch, and it's that spark is there that I kind of thought was there. And I just want to do something, but I have no idea how to do something. Like I've never kissed anybody before. I've never dated anybody before. So I have no idea how to like go down this road of dating Jen. But we're just like a bunch of 16-year-olds at this camp, and we have sort of a job, but like we're not in charge. We're just kind of in this middle ground. And so as a result, we're kind of just hanging out all the time, and everyone's 16, and there's hormones flying everywhere. So people start like coupling up. Like there's this ritual that I noticed the first week that I'm there, and our tents are all kind of in this one area of camp, and there's this trail that goes to our bathrooms where we brush our teeth and everything. And every night as we're going to brush our teeth, I notice there's the people that are in like the shadows on the trail. And they're always paired off in twos. And I could tell that those are the beginnings of couples. Like they're not making out or anything, but it's that like the lingering that is happening, where these two people want a little bit more time together. And then like a few days later, I hear that they're dating, because the gossip of 16-year-olds at this camp is everywhere. And I want that to be Jen and I. Like, I don't know how to get to the trail, but I want to get to this trail and figure out what the next step is after that. And so Jen and I are talking, and we're getting along, and things are going on. But I don't know how to make a move. And one night I'm walking to go brush my teeth and I see Jen and she's in the shadows of the trail. And I see who she's with and my heart sinks because it's Andrew Wolf. And Andrew Wolf, he's a trainee with me, but he had become kind of like my rival. Like he was sort of the confident, charming, better looking version of me. Like he just had this confidence that I didn't have. Like you met him and he could like be very confident, be very cool. And I came off this vibe of like, I've never kissed anybody before, but I would really like to if somebody would let me. Like that was totally my vibe. And he did not have that at all. And so I see them on the trail, off to the trail, and I just go back to my tent and I just sit in silence and I try to get to sleep that night, but I keep thinking about them on this trail. And, you know, I find out a few days later that they're dating now. And I've missed my chance. You know, it hasn't even been 2 weeks and now all of a sudden they're dating and I don't know what to do because Jen and I are still friends and we're friendly and they're dating and I can't screw that up. But I'm one night, I'm like every night now, I'm kind of like, I go to bed and I'm just sitting and thinking about this and how to do this. And the other thing that would happen a lot is like, we would be 8 guys in this tent together. So we would just be talking forever. And Andrew was in my tent. And, you know, one night the topic of Jen comes up and he's like, yeah, you know, Jen's cool, but like, I have a girlfriend back home. So who cares? You know, she's here and she's there and that's fine. And I hear this and it takes everything for me not to just like tackle him in this bunk of our tent because I feel like betrayed on Jen's behalf. And you know, Jen and I are friends at this point, and it feels like a thing that you tell a friend if you find out something like this. But I'm also conflicted because I know that I have this ulterior motive that if she finds this out, that it means that we might be able to be together. And so I'm just kind of sitting on this information and stewing and stewing and stewing. And the summer's running out. Like I'm running out of time to kind of make a move. And there's this ultimate frisbee game that happens. And ultimate frisbee is sort of like the coolest thing that happens at camp for some reason. And I am average at every sport except for ultimate frisbee. That is like my one sport that I'm really good at. And so we have this frisbee game and I'm one of the captains. And the other captain is Andrew Wolf because he's also very good at ultimate frisbee. And so we are paired up against each other. And it's a week before Jen is leaving. And I play the game of my life. Like I wreck the floor with Andrew. Like we're on time. We're guarding each other the whole time. I play the game of my life. Like everyone cheers me on at the end. And I'm like riding this high. I'm like, I have to tell Jen how I feel. And that like a few days later, it's like literally 2 days before Jen's going to leave. And I pull her aside at snack bar, which is literally this point where there's like kids running wildly everywhere with soda and candy bars. And I kind of try to like pull her in between these pine trees to get a little bit of privacy. And I just blurt out, hey, I don't know if you know this or not, but I like you. And I wanted to say something earlier in the summer, but I know you were with Andrew and I didn't want to ruin that. And I don't know if you know this or not, but he has a girlfriend and I don't want to say that to make you be with me, but it just felt like something you need to know. And anyway, I just wanted to say all that. And I said it just like that. Like it was one sentence. There was no pauses. And before she can respond, like the bell rings to go to the next activity. And we all just kind of scatter off and I'm just left not knowing what to do. In the final morning, Jen's packing up to leave and she's like ugly crying again. It's like that last summer. And it's that same thing where she's just like ugly crying and she pulls me aside and she's like, hey, can you help me get my trunk into my parents' car? It's in my tent. And I'm like, yeah, sure. And I don't really know what to say at this point. And I walk in and I go to grab her trunk and she pulls my arms away from the trunk and she squares me up with her and she kisses me. And we're just in this empty tent and there's this like hanging light bulb above us and it's just nothing and they're just kissing and it's amazing. And then that's it. Like she leaves and I help her get her trunk out and I don't really know what to do next. But in this one moment, I feel like I've won and I don't know what Andrew Wolf is doing with his life right now. But I felt like I had these 2 victories in 1 week over him and I had my first kiss and it was pretty good. So thank you.
Woo!
Very nice. I was also an ultimate frisbee player in high school. after I quit soccer. It was like the only sport that I was accepted into.
Yeah, it was just, and it was all pickup. There was no like real game. It was just like we would just go with my friends after school and like play at one field by our school.
We actually had like an organized team, but we didn't have anybody to play against because no other schools did it. So every practice was just like a pickup game. But
Yeah.
great sport. I love it.
So, guys, did you meet up again or no? Like, what's happening?
Oh man, that's like a much deeper story that I like couldn't. We've kissed one single time, but like we've worked at camp multiple summers. We were roommates at one point. It's a much like deeper story. But we only kissed that one time.
Wow. I gotta say, that's a baller move to just like plant a kiss and then ride off into the sunset.
Yeah.
Bravo, great story. Bryan, do you want to plug something, promote?
Oh
something?
yeah, I mean, I guess my podcast is called Love Hurts, and people share relationship stories on that, which is very fun, and that's kind of happening still through all this time. And then yeah, I'm doing a remote show this Sunday at 7, and it's on my Twitch channel. I guess if you like find me on Instagram on Berlination, and you can find it. But yeah, Sunday at 7, I have a virtual show as well.
Awesome, great. One more time for Bryan Berlin. All right, let's go our next storyteller. It's gonna be Bryan Bowen. Bryan Bowen is an actor, playwright, and a storyteller. He's living right now in the Lower East Side. Excuse me. He's been seen telling stories at the Moth, Nights of Our Lives, and the Adam Wade from the New Hampshire show. And actually, Adam has his solo show, which called public-private prayer. Sorry. Yes, and that show debuted at the Solacom at the Heat back in fall, and hopes are up that his show is going to return when theaters will open again. And please welcome marvelous Bryan Bowen again.
Oh man, thank you so much, Anna. Muted again? There we go. Live streaming, everybody. There we go. All right. So if there's one thing I love doing is tripping you guys up with an alliterative solo show title. But here we go. When I was 7 years old, I played on my church's intramural basketball league. And there was one game in particular where the score was tight. We were in the final minutes of the third quarter. We were on offense, and I ended up with the ball in my hands. And I turn, and I see the seconds ticking down on the clock, and I decide I'm going to take the risk. I shoot from half court with 3 seconds left on the clock, and it goes in. We get 3 points ahead. The crowd goes nuts. My team goes nuts. I'm like, yeah, we did it. And the coach is like, actually, there's a whole other quarter to play, but you helped. Great job. And we ended up winning that game. That ended up, to this day, that is still one of my greatest athletic achievements, which is saying something because I've never been much of an athlete. You can tell because I'm doing this. But here's the thing. I'm from Gardendale, Alabama, and that's the kind of town where if you're a boy and you want any degree of popularity, you better be some kind of athlete, which is why it was surprising to me when I was registering for my freshman year of high school, and I saw that I was only required 1 gym credit to graduate. This meant that I only had to take a gym class for 1 semester, not even a full school year. And then I didn't have to for the rest of the full 4 years. And on the one hand, this was appealing to me because I was more interested in like taking choir or theater, speech and debate, classes like that. But then I thought about the social ramifications of it, because gym class was one of the only places I could be seen doing anything athletic. Like, sure, I wasn't entirely unathletic. I had been on the wrestling team in middle school and I was moving on to the varsity team, but nobody came to those matches. Like the wrestling program didn't get the kind of attention that the football program got. I mean, hell, it's Alabama. Nothing got the kind of attention that the football program got, except maybe Jesus Christ, and that's a big maybe. So I thought to myself, maybe I should stick it out and keep taking gym class for the remaining 4 years, just so I don't get seen as some kind of wimp or something. Plus, I mean, what's wrong with trying to stay in shape? So we get to the big day. It's my first day of high school. I'm really nervous because I want to make a good first impression, but at the same time, I'm really excited to be in this like cool phase of my life. And, you know, I'm looking forward to finding out who I'm going to be in the middle of all this. So I get through my first couple of classes, and then it's time for gym. I go to the locker room. I awkwardly strip down and change into gym clothes in front of the rest of my classmates. And then we meet the coach on the basketball court. The coach has us start off doing some physical exercises like jumping jacks, sprints, stuff like that. And then he has us all sit on the bleachers while he wheels out this rack of basketballs. And he goes, all right, here's what we're going to do. Everyone's going to come out on the court and grab a basketball. I need everyone here to shoot 5 baskets. Once you're done, you're going to sit back down on the bleachers and you're going to wait for everyone else to finish. Once everyone, and I mean everyone, shoots 5 baskets, then you guys have the rest of the period to do whatever you want. And so I look at the basketballs and I look at the hoop and I think back to my glorious moment when I made that shot when I was 7. And I think, oh, I could do this. I'm going to prove myself and look really cool on my first day. So the coach blows the whistle. We scramble. We're all trying to grab basketballs. Some kids grab them immediately. Others like have to wait and catch them on the rebound. We're trying to make shots from all points of the basketball court. I'm catching balls when I can. I'm taking shots. And after multiple attempts, shot after shot after shot after shot, I make 1 basket. And that's when I think, oh, maybe this isn't going to be as easy as I thought. And so I keep shooting balls. I keep missing. Now some of my classmates are finishing before me, so they're starting to sit back down on the bleachers. After just as many exhausting attempts, I make my 2nd basket. And this is where the scope of my memory starts to broaden. And I realize that this one magical moment from when I was 7 was just an isolated incident out of an entire season where I was not the best player on the team. In fact, one could make the argument that I am not a good basketball player. So now here I am trying to figure out what I'm going to do to get out of this situation. I keep shooting. More and more of my classmates are going back to the bleachers. I'm thinking, this isn't happening. This isn't happening. But then it happens. I am now the only guy left on that basketball court. And I have only made 3 baskets. I need to make 2 more. And that's when a voice from the bleachers shouts, "Come on, Bowen!" And then another voice joins in, "Yeah, Bowen, come on, hurry up!" And this grows and grows until it is a chorus of teenage boys yelling, "Come on, Bowen," at me in a tone that I can't make out if it's encouragement or irritation, but chances are it's probably both. Because either way, they're stuck waiting on me to finish before they can do anything else. So I'm taking more shots. They're still yelling at me, which is just making me more anxious and unfocused, which of course makes me miss the shots I'm taking, and I'm mortified. The only way this could be more embarrassing is if I had been naked. And keep in mind, I had just been stripping down in front of these guys in the locker room, so we weren't that far removed from that situation. So finally, after what feels like forever, I make those last 2 baskets. And the coach is like, "Okay, free period, you guys do what you want." And we scatter. Some keep playing basketball. Some run to the climbing rope. Some are trying to hide so they can get away with doing nothing. I make a beeline straight for the bathroom. And once I'm in there, I just start crying. I just start bawling my eyes out. because this is the most humiliating thing that could have happened on my first day of high school. So once I calm down, I go to the sink and I wash my face. And in that moment, I decide that I am not signing up for gym class again after this semester. I was still figuring out who I was in all of this, but I had just gotten a very harsh reminder of who I wasn't. Thank you.
Bravo, bravo.
Thank you.
Very nice.
You have integrity, man.
What was
I would
that?
have been like, I said, you have integrity. I would have been like, oh yeah, I made 5. Y'all just didn't see me.
Oh no, that's not how this went.
I also was the worst in the gym class. And I was just like, whatever.
I couldn't wait to get out of there. Really, I was like, no, I can't wait till this is over.
All right, it's over. That's good. Oh, it's all behind us.
Good, because, you know, I still wake up in cold sweats. So.
All right, Grant, beautiful, beautiful story. What do you have for us? Something to plug in, something new, something's happening.
Well, you can follow me on Instagram at jgrantbowen. But I have a little more information I can plug about our show. All right. So, as you guys know, we're still kind of a new storytelling show. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook. Just find the handle at Awkward Teenage Years. And we're always looking for new storytellers. We're trying to plan for the shows coming up in June and July. And we're always open to hearing new ideas. So if you have a story, a 7 to 8 minute high school story that you would like to share on our show, email us your pitches at awkwardteenageyears@gmail.com. Again, that's awkwardteenageyears@gmail.com. And if you're new to the show, you've never watched us before, you've missed the past shows that we've done, the good news is you can watch all of our past shows on YouTube. You can find them really easy. Just search for Awkward Teenage Years. And while you're there, subscribe for us. It helps us get the word out about the show. We can create a customizable link so it's easier to find. It'll really help us out a lot. So subscribe while you're there, and we appreciate that you're here. Follow us on the Twitch screen. Follow us on the Twitch stream if you can. And we really appreciate it. Thank you all so much.
Beautiful, beautiful. So thank you, Grant, for this public service announcement. And we're gonna move this show along. And our next storyteller is a Kate Robards. She's a writer and a performer from Orange, Texas. And the Washington Post called her work hilarious and heartbreaking, and San Francisco Chronicle called her genuinely funny. Please welcome the remarkable Kate Roberts.
So I grew up in Orange, Texas, which is on the Gulf Coast, Louisiana border, and it's rural, you know, and so I actually lived there my whole life. My family had lived there for like 7 generations. And my childhood best friend, who was my best friend in high school, her family had moved there because the main source of economy in my hometown are the refineries, like chemical plants. And so she was like this exotic out-of-towner who was also a local. We'd met when we were 3. And, you know, we went through all of these life events together. You know, we went to church together. We did dance together. We did all these things. And then in high school, we were just deeply, deeply connected. And you're in that age when you both think that you are invincible, and you also are so self-conscious and you have no actual power. And a big part of my freshman year, a big part of my like ambitions in life was to get enough money to get a water bra. And I don't know if you know what a water bra is, but it is essentially exactly what it sounds like. It's like a bra that has water in it. And my first high school skerfuffle, if you will, with my best friend Nikki, it actually happened when I got the power of a water bra. And like all people in power, you know, like the great and powerful Oz, he doesn't reveal that he's just a man behind the curtain. He wants you to believe that he is, you know, far beyond. So like the power of my water bra, I wasn't going to reveal that to my friends, because then they would know that I had no real power. And so I like had my water bra and I would flaunt around. And the first big shame was when my friend Nikki found my water bra, because I would also take it off to do real sports, because you don't want that bothering you. This is the convenience of not having real boobs when the power is just a fake. It's like, I want to put on my superhero mask now. And like, now I'm Batman. Like now I have boobs. And I'll never forget, she confronted me and she was like, look at this. And I was so embarrassed. I was like, I don't know where that came from. I was always big at like into dramatic grand gestures. And so I was like, I have no idea. Like, this is the water bra that I like stayed for. I was like, I have no idea how that got there. And I think she was like, if you really don't know, then why don't you cut it? And it was like having to cut your baby in half. You know, I was like, yes, I have no idea whose water bra this is. And so I took scissors to my like most prized possession, because what was more important was keeping my best friend on my good side, even though our friendship was rooted in lies. But cut to, she was like my partner in crime, right? So we were thick as thieves, you know, like constantly doing all of the important things in our small town lives. We were cheerleaders. So like, in case you don't know, what this meant was like learning how to put on liquid eyeliner took a lot of time. If you're like a Texas cheerleader, what you have to do is you just like raccoon eyelid, like eyeliner, and then you slobber and spit on Q-tips and you just like go around. So it's like hours of that. We did spray tans, you know, which involves exfoliation. We did beer in the hair. We did mayonnaise in the hair masks. We did egg masks. We did like literally everything 17 magazine told you to do. And the thing about 17 magazine is that by the time you're 17, you no longer read it. It's like literally for girls who are like 15, and it's like how to be pretty and get boys to like you. But beyond those superficial things, Nikki and I were really connected because we went through something traumatic when we were first teenagers together. My dad died and her mom ran over her dog. And I just remember crying to her and like being like, so like my dad's dead. And she was like, my dog's dead. And I was like, it's my mom's fault that she couldn't get my dad to stay. And she was like, it's my mom's fault that she ran over our dog. And I know it sounds like it's not really even, but that reminded me, like, no matter what you go through, it's all relative. And so we'd gone through so many traumas together. And it reminds me, one of my favorite poems is Philip Larkin, and it's, yours is the harder course that I can see, but mine, of course, is happening to me. Because no matter what you're going through, someone else could be, I stubbed my toe. Well, it's my fucking toe. I'm sorry that, you know, you just got into a car accident, but like my toe hurts. The other thing that was a really big deal was when we were underclassmen and we were cheerleaders, hazing. So like, you know, this was the early aughts in Texas. So hazing was still happening. So the senior class would haze us, and her family, she had this like amazing mom and dad. And I was kind of like felt like the ragamuffin kid, you know, and I had a single mom, but I loved to spend time at her house because she had this like they had sponge painted of her walls, and she had like matching furniture. She had her own bathroom. It was luxurious at her house. And she was just like everything I wanted to be. When I slept at her house, I was like she had the trundle bed that pulled out. I was just like, I'm safe, I'm sound, and this is my partner in crime. And our other big activity in the summer before we had to spoiler alert, break up, was we would go skinny dipping. There was a pool, a private pool, the country club, which she was a member of. And I had a family member who was a member that I would like write their name on, and I would smuggle my way into there. And our like secret joy in life was to sneak out. And we were like hot young hoes in development, you know, constantly spray tanning ourselves, constantly working on our eyeliner game. And so you might think that we were like highly promiscuous, but really we were just still like, you know, little girls trying to like be slutty. And in our minds, the epitome of slutty was skinny dipping in a public place. So we would go to the pool, you know, like, you know, do exactly what we do in the daylight, like dive for things, but it would just be at night. And the fun thing too is we didn't have cars, and it's like country roads. So you're like running out and like following the stars, but you don't have to because you could like get there, you know, blindfolded. And we did this all summer. And then I don't know what caused my mom. So we had a whole routine, and like she stayed the night at my house one night. And I don't know if y'all remember what landlines were, but my mother had a landline. It's this archaic device. And because we were fancy at one point, she had a portable landline. And I didn't know to unplug the phone from I wasn't too swift. Okay. Too swift. I didn't unplug the cord. I was like, or like unplug the phone. I thought if I just take the phone and like hide it in some pillows, if anyone calls late at night, like, you know, she won't wake up. So I hide the phone under some pillows. I don't know what happens. We go skinny dipping. It's like the end of the summer of our sophomore year. And my mom wakes up in the middle of the night and we're not there. And, you know, where we are is we're skinny dipping and splashing under the moonlight. There's nobody else with us. It's just us, you know, and we're having the time of our lives. And whenever, you know, it's a small town, you know, all the cars, and we would like hide in the bushes because, you know, we were in our bathing suits going back or whatever. And we see her mom's van, and her mom was like a stay-at-home mom, and she had 2 brothers and the whole like nuclear family thing like I wanted. And we see this huge Astro van with like the ladder that goes up and the spare tire on the back, and it had the beds that lay down and like the TV. This is like small town land yacht, you know, it is luxury, the epitome of luxury. And we see it go by and we're like, shit, you know, it's late. Her mom is looking for us, and we're crouched hiding in the bushes, just like, oh shit. So we run as fast as we can. My mom is mad and her mom is mad. And they were like, were you at a party? And we were like, no, we were just skinny dipping. And they're like, were there boys there? And we were like, no. And I just like, I'd been through so much with her family at that time. Like I was always kind of like the bad kid. And I just knew, I was like, this is the final nail in the coffin. And her mom was just like, you can never come over to Kate's house again. And my mom was just like, you know, like I feel like all single moms are already crazy, but like a single mom of a teenage daughter whose main investment in life is water bras, spray tans, and eyeliner is like particularly a certain kind of crazy, where she's just like, she used to say like, I want to make sure you get the words jailbait tattooed on your forehead. Like her big thing was, you know, don't get pregnant. And for whatever reason, I guess me skinny dipping with my friend Nikki could have done this in her mind. And so they pried us away from each other, and we weren't allowed to see each other for the rest of the summer. And that's it.
Hey. Woo! Look at friends now.
Oh man, heartbreak for the ages.
But the good news is we're still friends and we're together right now. So we're quarantined together.
See, that's perfect. You're spending the quarantine together.
Exactly.
Oh man.
Here she is.
This
Yay.
to America.
So she forgave you for the bra, right? Like, oh, cool.
She forgave me for the bra. But I still think her mom thinks that I'm a bad influence. Even though that was like, I'm like, she knows way worse people than me.
That's
like,
very true. The bad.
Well, those moms. All right, Kate, do you have anything to plug in? Something happening new?
Yeah, people, I'm doing a new podcast called America Did What with my historian friend Blair. And it's going to be us talking about something that you may not know about America's history because it's very short-lived. And we're going to talk about language and linguistics, and hopefully it'll be funny as well as historical. Yeah.
Awesome, great, awesome, amazing story, great. But we have to move on to our next storyteller, who is Will Clegg. Will Clegg is a filmmaker, a storyteller living in New Jersey. Over there. You may have seen him at Moth, Maggie Theater, several recent virtual storytelling shows. He is one of the co-creators of Awkward Teenage Years, and we call him Daddy because he is basically the main creator of this show. Thank you, Will. And again, welcome, Will Clegg.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. So it's 7:30 a.m. It's a gray, cloudy day in the fall in Charlotte, North Carolina, where I grew up. And I'm headed out the door to the bus stop to catch the bus to school, where I'm in the 9th grade. At least that's what I've told my parents, that I'm going to catch the bus. Really, I'm going to walk to school today, and I'm going to walk to school because I'm going to meet my friend John, and we're going to smoke a joint on the way to school. Now, typically, we would smoke joints on the way home from school. We'd, get a little bit high, get home, have some snacks, listen to some music, whatever, until the high kind of wears off. But as we've discovered the joys of marijuana, we realize it's not really like as dangerous as they told us that it was in health class. So now we're starting to get a little bit reckless, and we think, maybe it's a good idea to get a little high before school. So we start walking, and we're still in the neighborhood, only gone about 10 minutes when it starts to rain. This is bad news because we still got 20 minutes to go to get to school. So we start hauling ass, and we get to the country club golf course that we have to cut through to get to school. And because it's raining pretty heavily now, there's nobody on the golf course. So we decide, all right, best time to light up the joint. And we light it up. We take a few hits each, and then the rain puts it out. And we're okay because we're a little bit high. It's all we really wanted anyway. And then we get to the creek that we have to cross to get to the next neighborhood before the school. And because of all the rain, the creek water level has risen, and I slip and I fall in, and I get completely soaked all the way up to my waist. So when I get to school 10 minutes later, first thing I do is go to the office and tell them that I got to call my mom to get a new pair of pants. And my mom shows up with a dry pair of pants for me, very confused because in her mind, I've ridden the bus to school. So how could this have happened? And I think that with my sopping wet pants and my red eyes, if she hadn't already, she probably at this point is starting to realize that there's something a little off about my recent behavior. And a couple months later, my parents, when I get home from school, tell me that we need to have a very serious talk that evening. This is never good news, right? And so my little brother and sister go to sleep after dinner, and they sit me down. I'm sitting alone on this couch in the living room. They're each in a separate chair staring me down. And I'm like, what is this about? And then my dad pulls out of his pocket a little plastic baggie. And this plastic baggie is filled with dill and oregano. And my dad says, we found this in your sock drawer. And we think it's either marijuana or spices for spaghetti sauce. And he's trying to be funny. And I realize all of a sudden that he doesn't really know what marijuana looks or smells like, because he thinks it's marijuana, but it really is dill and oregano in the bag. Because in order to get money to buy weed, I've been selling fake weed to kids on the side. And I don't want to tell them this. I haven't been doing it a lot. Okay, I don't have a lot of repeat customers, as you might imagine. But I've done it enough, and I forgot that I had a bag of this rolled up dill and oregano in my sock drawer. So I have to sheepishly admit that it is marijuana, because I don't want them to think I'm some kind of fake drug dealer. And they give me this very serious talk about the dangers of smoking weed and blah, blah, blah. I've heard it all before, whatever, you know. And then my mom says something I'll never forget. She says, do you understand that if the police came and raided our house, you're not the one who would get in trouble. We would be the ones who got in trouble if they found this marijuana in your drawer. And I'm like, why are the police raiding our house? Like, what are you guys into that I don't know about? Like, is it some sort of like tax evasion scheme or something? Like, what are you talking about? But they don't want to hear any of that. And the bottom line is that I'm grounded now for 2 months because of this. And that sucks, right? And I've got another problem too, is that I do still have one real joint left. But I'm taking this seriously. I don't want to smoke any more weed. I definitely don't want to get caught again. So I got to get rid of it. So I tell some kids at school what's going on. And my one friend, Courtney, who lives kind of nearby, says, well, I'll buy it off you for like $5. And I'm like, perfect. My parents are going to a party tonight. I'm babysitting my brother and sister. I'll sneak out. You know, we can meet like halfway and make the exchange. She's like, great. So that night, my parents go to the party. I get my brother and sister, put them in front of the TV. And we're not allowed to watch TV during the week, so they're just like super happy to be watching anything, completely zoned out. So I sneak out the back door, start walking down the street, and it's dark. It's like kind of like the neighborhood behind me here in this picture, and there's no street lights or anything. It's a suburban neighborhood, like big lawns, like the only lights are the lights from the houses, you know. And it's like a safe, nice neighborhood. A lot of teenage kids even younger, like my brother and sister too. And so not a place where people would be suspecting a little teenage drug deal to be going on. So I'm not like sneaking around or anything. I'm just casually walking down the street. And we meet up at an old construction site where there was a house being built that had kind of been abandoned. And it was where like we would get into trouble in the neighborhood. And so as I walk up to the house, I see Courtney and another friend of ours, Liza, walking up the street towards me. And they have 2 guys with them who I don't know. And so when they arrive, they introduce me to Sammy and Chris. And these guys go to another school. That's why I don't know them. But they look a lot like the kind of bozos that I'm hanging out with at that time. Like they got long hair, you know, gold chains, crisp white undershirts for T-shirts, huge baggy jeans. And they're very friendly. So we're all just like chatting for a moment. And then I give Courtney the joint. She gives me the $5. And she's like, I want to smoke this joint right now. And I'm like, well, I can't get involved because I'm grounded. She's like, well, I'm going to go behind this house and smoke it. So you just keep a lookout for me. I'm like, all right, fine. You know, just make it quick. And so she and Liza go back behind the house to smoke the joint. But Sammy and Chris stay to hang out with me. And we start talking. Like, turns out we have a lot of friends, you know, in common from different schools. We like the same kind of music. It's all very cool. And I'm just kind of anxious for them to finish so I can get back home. And then Sammy is like the smaller of the 2 guys. He says to me, hey, man, can I borrow some money? I'm like, it's a strange request because I'm 14. Like, I don't have a job, you know, I don't have money. I don't even have my income from my fake weed anymore, right? So also, I'm never going to see these guys again. Like, we just met. They go to a different school. How are they going to pay me back? I don't know. So I'm like, look, you know, I'm sorry, man. I don't have any money to lend you. And he's like, well, I mean, I know you just got that money from Courtney. And I say, well, yeah, I mean, I got $5, you know? And then just then, Chris, who's standing behind me, walks up and he sticks something into my back. And my hand is right there, and I just kind of instinctively touch it, and it's the barrel of a gun. And he just whispers, hey, man, just be cool, and give him the $5. And I reach into my pocket. I take out the crumpled up $5, and I give it to Sammy. And I say, hey, it's cool, man. You don't even have to pay me back. And just then, Courtney and Liza come around the corner, all high and giggling from the joint. And Chris just whispers in my ear, says, hey, man, just be cool. Just be cool, all right? Be cool. Nothing happened. And when Courtney and Liza walk up, I'm not being cool. I'm still completely freaked out. But they're all like acting like we're still friends and like giving me $5. And I don't know what to say. I don't say anything. But Courtney and Liza are so high that they're not even paying attention to my behavior, thankfully. And so we all just kind of say goodbye, and they walk away back towards Courtney's house. And as soon as they're out of sight, I sprint all the way home. And I get back there, and I go and I find my brother and sister, and they're just still sitting in front of the TV watching the same show like nothing's happened. Something has happened, and I'm shaking now. I have all this adrenaline rushing through me, and I'm terrified. I've never even heard of anything like this happening to anybody I know. Like, it's only something that happens in movies. And then all of a sudden, I understand what my mom was really so upset about. Thanks. And I just want to say, sorry, Mom and Dad. That's the first time they've ever heard this story.
Now it's going to be cold from Carolina.
My phone's not blowing up just yet, but it will soon, I imagine. So or maybe they missed the show. So
if you're going to a construction site to meet somebody and said party includes two guys you don't know, get out of there.
Yeah, 14-year-old me did not know that yet.
Oh man, that is crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know, Will, why you filmmaker. You have to be businessman. I just want to say that.
Yeah, I don't know if I was such a good small businessman as a 14-year-old. Didn't work out.
Businessmen don't get guns pulled on them. That's
yeah.
There's always someone. Wow. Awesome. Great story. Awesome. Again, bravo. And Will, do you have anything to plug in? Something to add?
Yeah, I've got a few things. First thing I want to mention is upcoming in June, there's a storytelling festival called the 24-Hour Storytelling Festival. It's put on by some folks in Toronto called Replay. And I'm going to be hosting an hour of that show. Grant's going to be doing a story. Anastassia's going to be doing a story. Adam Wade's going to be doing a story. Devin Sandiford, some folks who've been on the show before. It's really a crazy, awesome idea that they're going to do. It's going to go from 8 p.m. Saturday, June 13th Eastern Time until 8 p.m. on Sunday, June 14th Eastern Time. And you can find out more about it just by searching Replay 24-Hour Storytelling Festival. I'll be promoting it on my Instagram coming up. And then I also have a couple other things that I want to tell you guys about. So we would like you to consider, if you're able, to donate to either Frigid New York or the Magnet Theater. These are two organizations that mean a lot to us. I'll start with the Magnet Theater. The Magnet Theater is where every single one of the people that you've seen on the show tonight studied storytelling with Adam Wade. And it's also a great place to learn improv, sketch comedy. It's been a staple of the New York independent theater scene for 25 years. And right now they're going through tough times, just like every small theater. They're doing virtual shows at twitch.tv/The Magnet Theater. Make sure you put The Magnet Theater in there. And every night they're doing these shows for free. You can give them a little tip if you go to magnettheater.com and click on the virtual shows banner, throw a few bucks into the virtual hat. You can also follow them on @Magnet Theater on social media. The second organization is Frigid New York. So this show started as a performance at Frigid Festival 2020, which was back in February and March. Kate also did a show there this year. And it's just a really special fringe festival that happens here in New York City, run by some really amazing people. They're also struggling. They need your help. So if you're able, please go to frigid.nyc or @Frigid New York on social media. You can donate at their Venmo. You can also become a patron of theirs at Patreon/Frigid New York. Grant, Anastassiya, and I are all patrons of Frigid. And then I have a special announcement. This Saturday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, we are going to show the original show that we did this year at Frigid Festival. It's Pay What You Can. All the proceeds are going to go to Frigid New York. So I have the URL there on the screen. I think Grant's going to paste it into the Frigid chat there too. We'll be promoting it on social media. But please, please, if you want to see our original show, that's stories that we've never told during these streaming shows. That's going to be 7 p.m. Pay What You Can on Saturday night. And that is it for my PSA.
Oh, bravo. Thank you very much, Will, for this amazing public announcement. All right, now we have our last but not least amazing storyteller, Katie Rivard. Katie is a former teacher who enjoys cozy socks and making desserts, and she's currently working on different ways to incorporate chocolate and peanut butter into all the meals of the day. Please invite me for all your dinners, breakfasts, and lunches. I would like that in my meals as well. Chocolate and peanut butter, of course. And right now, she's looking for a good books to read. Please put your favorite books in the chat. And Katie is actually performed an improv and storytelling in storytelling shows at the Magnet, at the Pete, and at the Moth. And please, please, give a applaud into your house to our amazing, excellent Katie Rivard.
Awesome. Thank you. So growing up, I was never good at the things that girls are supposed to be good at. I inherited this really fluffy hair from my mom, and I came of age in the early aughts where like the super straight, flat ironed hair, bold eyeshadow, sparkles, and like a winged eyeliner was the thing. And when my friends with sisters were learning how to apply makeup and do hair together, I was like playing pickle or street hockey with my brothers, trying to avoid getting checked in the narrow hallway that went from our kitchen to our family room, because that was a really good place for my younger brother to practice his hockey checking, playing poker for M&Ms with my dad. Those were the types of things I enjoyed doing. I was happiest when I was with my family, wearing my soccer shorts, my backwards Vancouver Canucks hat. Much preferred that over limited too. But there was one kind of classic experience from like the girl canon that I really wanted, and that was the prom moment. You know the one. All My Life is playing by Casey and JoJo. The lights are flickering in a romantic way, not creepy. You're staring into somebody's eyes and then you kiss. This seems like a rite of passage. It happened in every high school movie, and I desperately wanted to partake in this. And so I started the preparation early. I was visualizing and manifesting before Goop was a thing. I would take my older brother's yearbook and I would turn right to the prom segment, and they would have these full page pictures of couples in love from the local high school. And I would imagine myself there with the Danny Zuko's or the Freddie Prinze Jr.'s of Farmington Hills, Michigan. And we would own the night. And so in terms of logistics, I scored a dress from the August before my senior year, when everything went on sale at JCPenney from the previous prom season. And so the next step was just securing the date. So I was able to lock down a boyfriend just before the holidays. He definitely had prom potential, so things were looking up for me. But then after New Year's, things start to unravel, because it turns out that my boyfriend wanted to make out with me while watching Spider-Man. And at this point in my life, I just kind of wanted to watch Spider-Man. If it was Spider-Man 3, maybe a different situation. But we're talking about the classic Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst, kissing upside down. And I preferred that. And so after just one night of lackluster kissing, he breaks up with me via text during a volleyball game that I'm playing in. And I find out after I get benched, and I look at the text message and it says, "Hey, we need to talk. We should break up." And I'm thinking, no talking required, buddy. Like, I hear you loud and clear. So I have to go back to the drawing board. But it turns out there's like this unwritten girl code that I wasn't aware of. And all of my friends had very surreptitiously like secured prom dates with the prom version of the like, if I'm not married by I'm 40 deal that people make. People have that, like, if you don't have a prom date by March, like, we're going to be prom dates. So everyone that I know has become unavailable. So disappointed, I kind of resigned myself to being the person who's going to tag along with their friends and their dates when I have a magical moment in AP chemistry that gives me hope. A casual friend from band kind of like yells across the chem lab, and he's like, "Hey, Katie, prom?" And I'm like, "Yup." And so not the ideal prom ask that you would want, but I'm thinking, hey, he's really good at the French horn. So maybe he's secretly like this romantic, artistic type. And so at least I have someone to dance with, you know, but it turns out that dancing will also not be in the cards for me. Because you see, during one of the last soccer games of the season, I'm going in, there's a corner kick. And so I'm thinking, this is my chance to finally score on Farmington High School, our rival. So I go for it. Not only does my shot hit the post, but I collide with the goalie, flip over, and I break my leg. And so I will be in crutches during prom. And I'm thinking, okay, try to stay positive. It's not what I imagined, but you don't have to move a lot during the slow dance, right? Like I can still kind of do it. So we get to the day of prom. I get back from getting my hair done, and it turns out that my dad has painstakingly hot glued pink ribbon and flowers to my prom crutches, he said, and he has like hot glue guns to prove it. And as I leave, he's like, have a great time, Katie. So I'm committed to having this moment. So I gear up, I'm decked in my dress, I have my matching crutches, I can't wear heels, so I'm wearing my sneakers, and I'm trying to have that like confident Avril Lavigne kind of like vibe, you know, and Zach picks me up and we head to my friend's house for whole group pictures. But when I get there, something inside of me just kind of snaps, and I'm attempting the prom pose, but I don't have those feelings for Zach. You know, we get on the party bus, and I'm looking around at all of my friends, and they're happily paired off, and my ex-boyfriend with his new girlfriend, who probably does make out during Spider-Man, and I'm just feeling very out of place. Because at my core, I'm not a pink poofy dress kind of girl, and my cast itches, and I've just realized that I've forgotten the physical prom tickets at home. Because yes, I did pay for my own prom ticket. I am an independent woman. And so I frantically call my dad, who's like digging through all of my drawers, all my things, my garbage can, which is a teenage girl's worst nightmare. And the tickets are nowhere to be found. So I'm like slumped over on the party bus, and my date and Zach is like, come on, perk up. It's going to be fun. And I'm just not into it. So I get to the door at prom. Turns out you don't even need a ticket. They have your name on the list. The physical item is supposed to help you to remember this magical night. So I've had my room stripped and searched for no purpose. And I walk in, I sit down at my table, and I'm just sitting there eating my sad prom chicken, watching all of my friends dance. And Zach keeps saying, like, come on, we can dance. And I'm looking at him, and I'm like, I have a broken leg. My cast itches, and I don't want to stare at you under twinkly lights. And so I post up by the chocolate fountain. Now, I'm supposed to go to this after party, you know, where all my friends are going to be hanging out, making eyes at one another, experimenting with alcohol for the first time. And I'm thinking, if I go there, if I have anything to drink, knowing my luck, I'll probably break something else. And I'm just not feeling it. So I'm spending my prom chatting with the teachers by the chocolate fountain. And one of them, just with a broken leg, one of them looks at me and he's like, you know, you're a cool kid, Katie. I think college is going to be really great for you. So I'm starting to think to myself, yes, maybe this isn't it. Maybe college will be great for me. What am I trying to prove here? This is not my last opportunity for Casey and JoJo. I'm not going to this after party. I'm going home. So I stock up on snacks from the dessert table. I wait for, you know, the last song to play. I get on the party bus. I say, hey, Zach, I'll sit by you in a minute. And I sit next to the bus driver, and I just look at her, and I'm like, look, I'm having a terrible night. I want to go home. You know, I like use all of the negotiating tips and tricks that I've learned from my dad. And I say, I have candy if you want. I'm willing to cut a deal. And she just looks at me and she's like, sweetie, where do you live? And so we pull up to my house. Everybody thinks it's the after party. And I just stand up really quickly and I say, bye, Zach. And I crutch on out. And as I crutch on out, I think this is my time to move on from high school, to own who I am. This is not my Casey and JoJo moment. And I'm going to be okay with that. And so now that I'm an adult, I've actually had a Casey and JoJo moment, but it was at home. I was in sweatpants. It was in the living room, and the lights were dim, not twinkly, and that was really sufficient. And the kiss was magical. Thank you.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
What a weird comment to make during prom. Oh, you think you're going to be fine in college.
This was the teacher who was like, it was like the guidance counselor from those movies. He's always like, let me tell you something, kid. You know, and I was just like, come on, man.
Thanks, Teach.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Not my night.
Awesome.
Not my night.
Yeah.
Well, so Katie, do you have something to plug in?
You know, these are quiet days for me. This is really cool. So I think I want to keep watching the Awkward Teenage Years to support Will's plug for the Magnet. I've been taking some classes there virtually. Awesome organization. I'm working on making more soup, so looking for more recipes and more storytelling to come in the future.
Awesome, great. Bravo, bravo. All right, our show is over. Thank you very much, our guest storytellers. Amazing story. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And please come next week, the same time, the same place. We'll be here with the new lineup. Not that great as today, but okay. I'm joking, okay? And yeah, we're coming up with new stories, with new storytellers. Please see us again. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.